Hi, Bonnie. This is Monica. I thought I would do a somewhat short video. I'm not sure how long this will go, primarily because there's an awful lot in terms of your initial introduction to the overall software itself. And I didn't want you to get frustrated like I did when I first started. The very first time I opened this project years ago, or not project, but the software. I'm an organic writer. I don't generally plot. I never have. This is the first time I've actually plotted something out prior to actually writing the book. And that has made a huge amount of difference in terms of my speed. So the first thing you're going to do, it's not going to look like this when you open up Scrivener. You're going to have to actually place the file that I sent you into the appropriate directory. The path that I'm going to give you will be identical to this with one exception. You're going to have to put your username. This is where you're actually going to drag the folder or the template that I gave you, whether from wherever it is, downloads, whatever, you're going to put in this particular directory. So once you've placed your template in there, you can close this out. If you've not opened Scrivener before and not created a project, it should, I believe, if it's brand new installation of the software, I believe it's going to pull up or open up with this particular screen. If you don't see the template here, click to the next spot. It should be here in the fiction section. So if the template isn't here itself, you have the ability to click options, click import templates, and you can click open, and it's going to pull it up into this particular section. So you have a new project. You select the template you want. You need to give it a place where you want to store it. Each project I keep in a particular directory that I have for the particular book. And as you can see, I've got the Rogues Offer here. Select that folder. You give it a name and you create. And it opens up the template that I've given you that you have saved. And you're pretty much ready to start. Everything that's in here, the first cards from setup, from trope to setup. And you'll notice that when I click on a particular line item here, it takes me to the document overview. I've included document notes here that are applicable to whatever I've placed in the document itself. To get back to the actual overview that you see here, just click on the corkboard, and you have to be at the top level. You have to be at the folder that all these little index cards, little files are located in order to see the whole thing. Say all you want is chapter 1 through whatever. Say that's all you want to see. You don't want to lose this information. You think it could be helpful down the road. You can create a new folder. Click add a new folder, and you can do general info, and then you just grab it, drag it up all the way to the top, and make sure that when you're putting this here, you want it to be on its own. So then when you want to include anything in this particular folder that you want to move this information that isn't really relevant, you can just highlight those and just drag them up. As you can see, everything that I copied from Act 1 is here and under general info. You could do the same thing following Alicia's outline. In order to see this view here, where you see all of the cards with the scenes themselves laid out, you have to make sure that you're at the top, you're at the folder itself where all these scenes are. If you were to follow Alicia's storyline under plot points, the arc that I got from her in one of the classes that I took, I don't remember if it was online or if it was at RWA, she gave us this really nice, very short, succinct type of layout in terms of 3 acts. And then within each act, what had to happen. So in order to see all of these cards, you have a couple of different options. You can, under View, you can go to your corkboard options and you can click Cards Across. If, say, you wanted to do 4, It's going to reduce, it gives you what you want. It's going to reduce everything down. You can make them a little bit bigger if you were to pull these over this particular screen. I believe you can remove the screen itself, but I don't do that because I actually use the information here. So I'm going to put it back on view, corkboard options, cards across, and I'm going to go back to the 2. And the reason I have it set up like this is that I do keep some information here relative to what's happening. So for instance, we have scene 1, scene 2. You are able to make your scenes, lay them out the way you want to. The color coding here is based on what I set up. Purple meaning the start of a new chapter. Lavender is for the actual action or scene. The result or consequences should be teal, and I think I changed this so that I could show you how to change it back, and that would be, no, project. Under project, they have metadata settings, which pops up this nice little box. And under labels, you have the ability to create a general info card. And if you click on the color box, double click basically, you can create colors that you want. And so you can see that this color here, for instance, say you have scene 1 in chapter 1, you have scene 2 in chapter 1, and you're like, oh, okay, I really need another scene in chapter 1. What you can do is you can always just highlight both of these and you can duplicate them. And as you can see, it drops everything. You don't have to move anything around. And you can change the scene card here to whatever the chapter would be. Grab these 2 and you just drag them up. And I'm in chapter 2 and scene 3. There's chapter 3. This is why I like the colors, because I know where the chapter starts and ends. And then just make sure your cursor is directly after the last scene card and drop it in. And that's how you add extra cards or extra scenes to a particular chapter. For the look, which would be, I believe it's under options. Yeah, appearance. You can change your colors on the index card regarding the index divider, which I believe it's this line here. The index card lines, which are the sort of the white, the border color, all this around here, and the index background color, which I don't use because I use the setup by my metadata. You can also change your fonts here. But for the corkboard look, you can, I would always keep this allow dragging items onto cards because it just makes it easier. You can round the cards, you can do a pen or a corner mark. So those are where you can make the changes, colors, if you prefer to do that. Corkboard and you don't see anything, don't panic. It's because you're actually looking at this particular file within this particular folder. So to see all the index cards on the corkboard, you have to actually be at that top folder. Otherwise, you'll basically be in the file itself. So that's how that works. I think that's all that I can share with you that won't be overwhelming at this point. If you have any questions, I'm happy to do another video if you tell me specifically what you're looking for. The sizing here can be changed however you want. I have it set up for me as being the optimal type of view based on my computer screen. Hopefully this will help, and I hope that it helps you write faster. I know it has me. Writing 25,000 words in 10 days while actually doing work for other people was just, it was mind boggling. And I know it's because um, I set up everything. And actually, I'm going to open up the project that I've been working on, which is the Rogues Offer. And as you can see, I have the green cards all outlined, just the basic background information that I need. And then I've set up all the chapters and the scenes. And what I like about making the chapter, beginning of the chapter, a different color, is I can scroll down and I know exactly, okay, this is a chapter. What chapter is it? But in terms of setting up the actual chapter scene, I've set it up just as Alicia did, in terms of what I learned from her. So I basically wrote out just a short snippet of what I wanted to have to do. I sometimes, in a couple of places, I would actually use the document notes for anything that I thought would work to put in the actual scene itself. I didn't always do that, or maybe, yeah. See, I didn't do it here because I knew pretty much what I wanted to have happen in a particular scene. As here, I actually pulled in with the crisis and action event. I pulled in the information that Alicia had indicated in her particular outline, so that I could go based on the title here. Okay, this is a crisis. What's encompasses that crisis? What about the climax? The climax says XXX. So, like I said, just message me and I'll try and answer your questions, or at the very least, I can do another video to focus on what it is that you specifically want to know.